Okay, so here's another AngelLoader video again. So, first of all, what do I do? Oh yeah, let me just disable this temporarily because we don't want to be talking about this in a minute. But first, let me just talk about the easy stuff that I've done added since last time. So we got this new button up here. It is super hard to find an icon that represents things. Like, I tried so hard to find an icon that represents recent. I tried having like a sparkly thing for like new or whatever, and I came up with this clock thing by looking at stuff. So yeah, that's your recently added stuff. Last 15 days, I guess is what it is still. Yeah. So there's your new stuff at the top, but the button is all fancy. Also, I made it so that the home and end keys just go to the start and end of the list instead of like going here and back. They just go up there because like who the heck really ever wants to do that? And you can just go like boop if you want. So hey. Also, if you do have a scrollable thing here, and if you were like clicking around here, oh, that's not absolutely perfect. Then it used to be like this thing would just scroll all the way back, and like you see how it's not perfect now, but it's like not as bad as it's scrolling all the way back. So like, yeah, this is really hard to wrangle. So yeah, it's not perfect, but at least, it's something. So okay, so that's that stuff. You may also, let me see here. No, did I do anything else though? Did I do anything else? I don't know. If I think of it, I'll think of it. Oh yeah, one other thing that I did. I definitely didn't do this whole spiel and then realize I wasn't recording. So, if you select a fan mission that you have never selected before and a README has not been chosen yet, AngelLoader has a little algorithm that it uses to determine which README to show. Okay, so here is the code for it. It's called Detect Safe README, and as it says, given a list of README file names, attempts to find one that doesn't contain spoilers by eyeballing the list of names, file names, similar to how a human would to determine the same thing. So basically, NewDark, whenever you select a new mission, if there's multiple READMEs, it'll just pop up a little window and you can choose one at first, and that's so that you don't get spoilers like right in your face if it happens to choose one that contains spoilers, like a walkthrough.txt or something. And that's a good idea. But I thought, why don't I go one step further and just kind of try to automate it and try to find a safe README, and only if I can't find one do I pop up the little window there. So here's the method, function, whatever, that tries to find one. I've got all these phrases here, reject phrases and non-reject phrases, and it just tries to like go through the READMEs and just find one that doesn't contain spoilers, looks like it isn't a walkthrough or spoilers, and that looks like a README, and to just pop it up so that you can save you some clicks with having to click it yourself. Now, it used to be that whenever you'd click a new mission, when it would find a README, it would always prioritize English. So you see fminfo-n is what it chose, and so it would always put English to the top. But I've now changed it, and let me see here. I think, yeah, I didn't save that out because okay, good. So I've now changed it so that if it's detecting a README for the first time, it will actually use your selected language to try and detect one. So if we now click Ultimate Burglary, we haven't clicked it before, it'll now choose fminfo IT because we chose the Italian language. Now, once it's chosen a README, it will never change it again, because if you select English and you just like select it again, it's still in Italian. And this is because I don't want to change the README on the user if I can help it, because like there's no way to tell the difference between a README that the user has selected like this and a README that's been automatically selected. I don't know. So I feel like it's the best thing to do is just to leave this alone. Because if, say, you've got like the Seven Sisters, now, if for some reason it had selected this one at first, and then the user had manually selected this one, like, no, I want to look at this scripts README that's super short all day long. And then if the user were to change their language to like Italian, say, and then imagine that there was an Italian README, like let's just pretend this is the Italian README. If I yanked it back like, no, here's the Italian README, what if the user was like, no, I wanted this one? Don't yank it back from me, you know what I'm saying? So like, I don't know. I'm just trying to err on the side of being polite, even though I could definitely automate it more, but I'm not sure if I should overstep that bounds here, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, but like that's what I did. It's just a little courtesy. If you've selected a thing for the first time, it'll detect the README, taking your chosen language into account. So now back to like whatever I was saying before. Anyways, the important thing in this video, though, is actually this here because somebody was asking me for the ability to specifically choose what language you play stuff in. So, for instance, you could say English or Deutsch, German. Default is just like, do the usual. English is like force English. German is force German. So, the thing I wanted to talk about is this, because it's kind of an interesting thing in the code. See, yeah, so that's disabled. So, let me try to explain the situation that I'm in here. Where to begin? So, let's say that you want to take a mission and you want to force, say, let's just take a Thief 1 mission. You want to force French, okay? So you select French, and now when you go to play the FM, it's going to force it to play in French, even if your copy of Thief is English or whatever, okay? So far, so good. Now, let me show you the code. I've made the text bigger here just so you can see it in the video. Maybe this is too big, I don't know. But the code that actually goes and plays the FM, where is it now? There we go. So, the code here that goes to play the FM, it looks at what language you've selected. So it looks at that drop-down. Let me just run it here. It looks at this drop-down and sees what language you've selected. And then, if you have selected something other than default, then it specifically sets these two variables, the language to what you selected and the force language to true, which you have to set both of these in order to get it to work. Unfortunately, you have to force the language in the game to get it to do the thing. So far, so good with those, right? Now, let me show you, though, what happens when you actually set those variables. So these variables you just pass to the game. Like, basically, it sets these variables and then it writes them to this temporary file where in the game then gets called, and then the game runs this stub. And then this stub reads in the data from the file and then just passes it straight into the game. So basically, this is more or less just a memory-to-memory copy, except with a temp file, but we can just kind of ignore that. So like these values are passed directly to the game in memory, so remember that. But let's just see what happens exactly when we choose to play with French, and keep an eye on this file, the Thief Gold cam.config file. Okay, so let's play it in French. So I've got an English copy of Thief, but you can see that when you start a new game, it's got everything in French. Right? And even when you go into the menu, even the menu is French. So, that's all totally cool, right? Now, take a look at this file. The game has added these two lines, FM language French and FM language forced 1. It has added them to this file, despite the fact that it doesn't need that. I just passed it these values in memory, but it writes them back out to this file. Which means, if we now start a different mission, this one, and we keep the language at default, which means it's not going to choose any specific language, it's just going to go with whatever you've got installed. Now look what happens. We start it, the menus are still in French. The game is in English. The game and the text is perfectly in English, but your menus are in French. And that's because it's got these two lines, and when you choose the default language, it does not erase these lines or replace them with like whatever you've got installed. No, it just keeps whatever you had there before. Now, you might think maybe I'm doing it wrong. Like, yeah, that could be right. I mean, I'm trying to match FMCell's behavior. Sorry about that. Maybe I'm doing it wrong, and maybe FMCell does it right. Well, let's give that a shot. We got FMCell right here. So we've still got these lines, and this is the game writing this out. This is not FMCell. The game itself will write this out when you pass it those values. No matter which loader you're using, it does this. So it does this, and then it does not erase them when you quit the game. So you've got this stuff stuck in here, and you have no idea. Right? And then you use FMCell to play the whistling of the gears. Well, you got the same problem. This menu's still in French. So I'm doing exactly the same thing as FMCell is doing. FMCell is not doing any better than me, right? So that's a bug. I guess. I don't know why it writes these values out. It doesn't seem necessary to me, and it's definitely just going to confuse users. Le call bull? If only we could speak directly to you. But yeah, so that's kind of a problem that is going to cause users to be like, hey, things aren't working. So what I did is I have this thing. So let me just explain basically what this does here through way of another thing. So if you see cammod.ne, this is where you normally set up your loader, right? Like your selector. If you want to use fmcell, you put fmselector, fmcell. If you want to use NewDark you'd put like that, right? So that's where you do that. Now, what AngelLoader does is because it needs to set itself as the selector, it used to just go like that. It would just modify the file to just go like that, so everything was nice and easy. But then if a user wanted to switch to another loader, this thing would still be set, and if you tried to start fmcell, the game would just start, and it was confusing because there was no loader starting. So what I do now is I actually have it so that when AngelLoader starts, it reads this file, and it reads in what selector you have specified before, right? So we can see if whenever we go to play a mission, actually this is the Thief 2 one. Let's play a Thief 2 mission. Whenever we go to play a Thief 2 mission, sorry about that infrasound spooky there. It modifies this file to set itself as the loader as it needs to work. But then, because it has remembered the loader you had set before, whenever you quit, it now modifies it back to set back the loader you had before. Right? So I'm saying, and that also happens if you change the game folder, right? So it doesn't leave you hanging even if you change the game folder. It still goes into the old folder and sets this one back to what it should be so that it's very polite and doesn't stomp all over anybody's files permanently now. So the system I have for doing this, I just sort of wrote another thing to use it, which is this, which basically does the same thing except it just goes back and whenever you exit, yeah, you see, whenever you exit or whenever you change your game paths, it goes and it removes these two lines here, which literally do not need to be here. They're not there by default, and it just screws things up. So now we can see, if we don't have this return statement here, that if we go, let's see, what was I? It was this. We go français. We play it in French. Right, there's your French game, and then there's your French menu. We now go here, and it's at default. We play. And our menu is in English, and our game is in English, and everything's fine because it has removed the stuff in this file before it goes to play. So that seems to fix it. Now, I'm not super happy about this. I don't like to stomp on files if I don't have to. You know, I stomp on this one because I have to, and I set it back after. But, like, I don't know why it puts these two lines here. You know what the funny thing is, though, is that these lines actually are supposed to be put in here. Like, you can actually say, like, for FM language French, and that way, if you go here and you just say default, and you go to play, sorry, that was Thief Gold. Okay, if you play a Thief 2 mission, and you say default, and you go to play, then you see it's French, even though you told it not to do French, because you actually have these lines in your cammod.ne file, which is where they're supposed to go, and I have absolutely no idea why it puts them in this other file here. Sorry, this is the Thief 2 file. It puts them in this file here. And I don't like removing lines that the game puts in that I'm not 100% sure why it puts there. But if I don't, then there can be bugs. So I guess I should do that? Shrug, but I don't know, because there doesn't seem to be anything in the spec about putting these lines here. I don't think. But that's what I've been working on. That was a real, like, it was just miraculous that I stumbled upon this bug. I was almost going to release this, but I didn't, and that's cool. So yeah, you close AngelLoader and then it removes them. So I guess that's what I'm going to do. And with that, I think that the next version of AngelLoader is pretty much ready to be released. I'm going to test it a bit more, just to see, in normal use, if I missed anything, because I don't know. because rushing to releases is kind of a bad idea. But that seems to be it, right? I've got that language thing that was asked for, and it saves your language per FM, right? Like it's if you want to force like Deutsch there and default there, and you can always just now DarkLoader has the language box just right there all the time. You see, it's got this language here, and I actually didn't realize this was Force FM language. I thought this was maybe just a shortcut for the UI language or something. I don't know. I didn't find it so obvious, but for some reason it's grayed out. But anyways, yeah, so basically the point is, though, it has it here all the time on every tab, which is convenient, and I kind of wanted to maybe do that, but UI is hard. It's like, do I put it in here because it kind of maybe fits in here, or do I make like a thing at the bottom that's just always there? But then why should language just be there? Why not something else that's convenient? Like, do I make it convenient but messy, or do I make it organized but maybe not as convenient? Because maybe people won't see the thing here. Maybe they'll always be on some other tab. I don't know. But it's here for now, and you can rescan. Like, it basically just, it looks at the FM's language folder, see if it has any language name folders, and then like puts it into this list. It doesn't detect languages that are zipped in zip files or anything. DarkLoader doesn't detect that either, or FMcell. Nobody does, because it's like super arbitrary, and you have to have some pattern matching, and it's best to just follow the instructions in the README if you want to use those languages, because who knows. So for now, it's in this tab. Don't know if that's the best idea or not, but it's there. And then we got this recent on top thing. We got the home and end thing. Oh, and also, if say you like got a mission selected, you know, like here, and you kind of just been like scrolling way down and you know, messing all around here, and you want to go, like, your mission up there is still selected, but you want to actually like center it on the screen, you just middle click and it centers it on the screen. Now, if it's already on the screen, then middle clicking doesn't do anything because it's already on the screen, but otherwise just puts it back. So those are some user experience improvements. And honestly, I think this might be worthy of a 1.4, but So that's it. Bye!